It wasn't just a diner, it was an assault on the senses. It was all gleaming chrome-polished steel and windows so clean you could see your own sad reflection in them. The waitresses wore futuristic silver uniforms and zipped around on roller skates. The menu was projected onto the wall in a crisp digital font featuring items like quinoa power bowls and artisanal avocado toast. Mel stood at his own diner's window staring at the monstrosity as if it were a personal insult. "What in the Sam Hill is that?" he growled. "Well, Mel, it looks like a diner that fell out of a science fiction movie," Jolene observed, peering over his shoulder. "It's so shiny," Vera whispered in awe. For the first hour of the breakfast rush, Mel's Diner was a ghost town. Their usual crowd of truckers and construction workers were all across the street, lured in by the siren song of novelty and free trade coffee. Henry was the only one at the counter, a lone bastion of loyalty. "Don't you worry, Mel," he said, stirring his coffee. "This is just a flash in the pan. People will come back to what's familiar." But Mel was worried. He was sweating. He began to pace behind the counter like a caged bear. Familiar. Familiar means old. Look at this place. The linoleum is peeling. The coffee pot has character. That place has no soul. The first defector returned around 9 a.m. It was Chuck, one of the truckers, looking sheepish. "How was it?" Alice asked, pouring him a coffee without being asked. "It was clean," Chuck said, as if confessing a sin. "The coffee came in a little glass beaker thing, tasted like burnt flowers. And the waitress, she skated right into my table." My artisanal toast flew into my lap. He took a deep gulp of Mel's coffee. "Ah, tastes like coffee." It was a small victory, but it wasn't enough. By lunchtime, the Chrome Comet was packed, while Mel's had more empty booths than customers. The panic in Mel's eyes was real. "We gotta compete," he announced, slamming his fist on the counter. "We gotta modernize. We need a gimmick." His first idea was to put the girls on roller skates. The experiment lasted approximately 45 seconds, ending when Vera, trying to navigate a turn by the jukebox, lost control and slid headfirst into the kitchen, emerging with a pot on her head. His second idea was to create a new healthy menu. He spent an afternoon in the kitchen and emerged with his creation, Mel's Tofu Chili. The first and only customer to try it, Henry politely described it as tasting like sad, wet gravel. By the end of the day, morale was at an all-time low. The Chrome Comet wasn't just a competitor, it was a vision of a future in which Mel's Diner, with its chipped mugs and stubborn, greasy heart, had no place. That evening, Greg picked Alice up for a date. He listened patiently as she recounted the day's disasters. It feels like we're being erased," she said, looking out the car window at the bright, taunting lights of the comet. "You can't erase a place like Mel's," Greg said, reaching over to take her hand. "It has something that place will never have." "What's that?" she asked. "A health code violation from 1978. He smiled. "History," he said, "and you." His words were a small comfort, but as she looked back at the glowing sign of the Chrome Comet, she knew this was a fight for survival, and Mel Sharples, their loud, cheap, and terrified general, had no idea how to win. Chapter 10. The War of the Whisks. The diner war escalated quickly. The owner of the Chrome Comet, a slick, smarmy man named Lance, made it a point to come into Mel's for coffee every morning just to survey the empty booths and make condescending comments. "Love what you've done with the place, Mel," he'd say, running a finger over a dusty napkin dispenser. "Very authentic." Mel's competitive spirit, fueled by rage and desperation, went into overdrive. He declared a series of theme nights. First was Hawaiian Luau Night. Mel wore a greasy floral shirt, and the girls were forced to wear plastic lace over their uniforms. The special was a pineapple and Spam burger that was universally reviled. Next came 50s Sock Hop Night. Mel slicked back his hair and spun old records on the jukebox. This was slightly more successful until he tried to demonstrate a dance move and threw his back out. The low point was All You Can Stand Chili Tuesday. The promotion ended when a customer, after his 7th bowl, literally could not stand and had to be helped to his car. "We're dying a slow, embarrassing death," Jolene declared, peeling a sticky plastic lei from her neck. I saw Lance from the Comet talking to one of our regulars today. He's trying to steal our customers one by one. We can't give up, Alice said, though her own hope was starting to fade. The diner felt different. The easy laughter was gone, replaced by a tense silence. The regulars who did come in seemed sad, as if attending a wake. One afternoon, Alice sat in a booth with Earl, the basketball coach, who had remained fiercely loyal. "I tried that Comet place once," he said, shaking his head. "Felt like I was eating in a hospital cafeteria. A very expensive hospital cafeteria. There's no chatter, you know. Over here you hear Henry getting the town gossip, you hear Mel yelling about something, you hear Vera dropping a tray of dishes. It's the soundtrack of my afternoon." His words sparked an idea in Alice's mind. A crazy, probably doomed idea, but an idea nonetheless. She waited until the end of the day after Mel had finished counting the meager till and was staring dejectedly at a bottle of antacids. "Mel," she said, sliding into the booth across from him, "we're doing this all wrong." "What, you got a better idea?" he grumbled. "Should we start serving food on hubcaps? Put in a robot cook?" "No," she said. "We should stop trying to be them. We need to be more like us." "Us is going broke, Alice." "Us is a landmark," she insisted. "People have been coming here for decades. They've had first dates here. They've celebrated birthdays here. They've complained about their bosses at that counter. We can't compete with their chrome Mel, but they can't compete with our memories." Mel looked at her, his usual bluster gone, replaced by a weary skepticism. "So what's the big plan, Hyatt?" he asked. "We're going to put a velvet rope out front and call ourselves a museum." "Sort of," she said, a small, determined smile forming on her face. "We're going to have a party, a Mel's Diner homecoming. We invite everyone who's ever been a regular. We'll get a live band, put up old photos, and serve the classics. Not Tofu Chili Mel, the real stuff. The stuff that made this place a home for so many people." For the first time in weeks, a flicker of something other than panic appeared in Mel's eyes. It wasn't quite hope, but it was a start. Chapter 11, The Secret Ingredient. The week leading up to the Mel's Diner homecoming was a blur of chaotic energy. The idea once planted took on a life of its own. Vera surprisingly turned out to have a hidden talent for scrapbooking and began assembling a massive collage of photos of the diner and its patrons through the years. Jolene used her formidable flirting skills to convince a local country band to play for free beer and burgers. Mel, grumbling the entire time about the cost of decorations, secretly loved being the center of attention. Greg became their unofficial marketing director. He designed a simple, heartfelt flyer with an old photo of the diner on the front. The headline read, "They have fancy coffee. We have your memories. Come on home." He and Alice spent an evening driving around town, putting them on car windshields and in shop windows. "You really love this place, don't you?" he said, watching her carefully tape a flyer to a telephone pole. "It's more than a job," she admitted. "It's the first place that felt like a real home after my husband died. These crazy people, they're my family." He squeezed her shoulder. "Then we'd better make sure this party is a success." The night of the homecoming, the diner was transformed. Strings of colored lights were hung from the ceiling, the tables were covered in checkered cloths, and Vera's giant photo collage was displayed proudly by the entrance. The place was packed, not just with the current regulars, but with faces from years past. People who had moved away came back for the night. Grown children brought their own kids to the booth where they used to sit. The air buzzed with laughter and conversation, a rich tapestry of shared stories. The band played, people danced, and Mel for once was giving away food without complaining. He stood behind the counter, a paper hat perched on his head, beaming like a proud father. Late in the evening, Lance from the Chrome Comet walked in. He stood in the doorway, taking in the scene with a look of utter bewilderment. He saw a crowded, slightly shabby room full of people who were not just eating, but connecting. He saw Alice laughing with Henry Vera, carefully not dropping a tray of sliders, and Mel showing someone a photo on the collage and clapping him on the back. He couldn't compete with this. This wasn't a business. It was a tribe. He turned and walked out without a word. As the party wound down, Alice stood by the jukebox watching the last of the dancers. Greg came up behind her and wrapped his arms around her waist. "You did it," he whispered in her ear. "We did it," she corrected, leaning back against him. She looked around the messy, happy, food-strewn room. Earl was right. The chatter was the secret ingredient. It wasn't about the food or the decor or the gimmicks. It was about the feeling you got when you walked through the door, the feeling that you were known, that you belonged. The Chrome Comet could sell all the avocado toast it wanted. But Mel's Diner was selling something far more valuable, a place to call home.